You know that feeling, right? You finish a totally brilliant book, you're buzzing with ideas, and then a week later, it's like it all just vanished. It's super frustrating. But what if I told you that you could actually change that? In this explainer, we're going to dive into how you can turn what you read into knowledge that actually sticks. I mean, look at that number, 90%. It's kind of shocking, but we've all been there. You put in the hours reading, you're highlighting, maybe even taking notes, and yet, poof, most of it is just gone. So why does that happen? And more importantly, how do we fix it? Let's dig in. We're going to call this whole phenomenon information amnesia. It's that nagging feeling of, oh, I know I read this somewhere, but you just can't pull up the details when you need them. It can make reading feel like a total waste of time. But here's the thing. What if the problem isn't your brain, but your strategy? And this right here is the most important thing to get. A lot of us think that having a great memory is just something you're born with, it's just luck. But the science is crystal clear. Remembering is a skill. It's a muscle you can train, and it all comes down to using the right techniques. So to build that skill, we first have to understand what's actually happening in our brains when we read. See, it's not just one single event. It's a two-stage process. And here's the catch. Most of us are only focusing on stage one, and that's exactly where it all goes wrong. Just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got the reception stage. That's literally just getting the information into your head as you read. Simple enough, right? That's what we all think reading is. But the real secret, the part we almost always skip, is on the right, the consolidation stage. This is the work you do after you read to process, connect, and store that information so it actually sticks around. The secret isn't reading more, it's consolidating better. I love this analogy because it's so perfect. When you only focus on reception, it's like you're pouring water into a leaky sieve. It goes in one side and right out the other. But when you focus on consolidation, you're doing something totally different. You're actively weaving that new information into a strong web of stuff you already know. That is what makes memories last. Okay, so how do we actually build that web? Let's get practical and open up the toolkit. These are actual science-backed methods that force your brain to do the hard work of consolidating information. These aren't just nice ideas. They are proven techniques that work. First up is spaced repetition. Forget cramming. Instead, you strategically review what you learned at bigger and bigger intervals. A quick look a day later, then again a week later, then maybe a month later. Each time you do this, you're sending a little signal to your brain that says, hey, this stuff is important. Don't delete it. This is literally the process that moves knowledge from that leaky sieve into the permanent web. Next is active recall, and this is a total game changer. Just passively rereading a chapter is one of the worst ways to study. It feels productive, but it's not. Instead, you have to force your brain to retrieve the information. So read a chapter, then close the book and try to explain the main ideas out loud, like you're teaching them to someone else. That struggle to remember is exactly what builds strong memories. Then we have the power of association. Our brains are really bad at remembering random, isolated facts. They're built for connections and pictures. So, the classic example, to remember someone's name is Baker, you actually picture them as a baker, maybe with a big white hat holding some bread. By linking new info to a vivid image or something you already know, you're giving your brain a hook to grab onto later. This leads right into our next tool, deep processing. Just check out this quote. The key to taking notes isn't just mindlessly copying what you're reading. It's about summarizing and rephrasing ideas in your own words. That effort forces your brain to really wrestle with the material, and that's how it converts simple data into real, actual knowledge. Now, you might be thinking this all sounds a bit academic. Fair enough. So let's look at someone who has absolutely mastered this in the real world. The investing legend, Warren Buffett. The guy is famous for reading and retaining huge amounts of information, and that skill is central to his success. And his method? Well, it lines up perfectly with the science we've been talking about. Let's break this down, because it's so simple. Creates strong mental impressions. Well, that's just association, right? Links new information with personal life experiences. That's building the web of knowledge we talked about. And repeatedly reviews the most important content. That is classic spaced repetition. See? He isn't just reading, he's actively consolidating. So the really big idea from Buffett's method is this. Memory isn't a one-and-done thing that happens when you finish a chapter. It's an ongoing, active process of reflection. It's about constantly asking yourself, how does this connect to what I already know? You're building that web, bigger and stronger every single day. Okay, We've gone over the science and we've seen a real-world master in action. So, how do you actually apply all this? Let's put everything together into a simple, powerful action plan you can start using today. And here it is, your 4 steps. Number 1, space it out using those increasing intervals. Number 2, recall it. Explain the ideas out loud without looking. Number 3, link it. Create those connections and mental pictures. And finally, number 4, summarize it in your own words to really process it deeply. That's it. That is the framework for building knowledge that actually lasts.
So you can see this is so much more than just a memory trick. It's a system for mastering any subject you want. By applying these techniques, you're not just reading words anymore. You're building a foundation of deep, usable knowledge. So the only question left is, with a better memory, what are you going to master next?